Now the first thing we're going to do is see if we can get a key made for this bike. I did throw a bag over this because of that hole in the gauges, but this is the 82 Yamaha Maxim XJ750. We're going to part out, try and make some money. First thing we want to do is see if we can get a key, and then we can go a little bit further and see if this thing lights up, and I can tell people that the turn signals work, the engine turns over, all those good things. If we're going to start the engine, we actually need to drain the oil, put fresh oil, because I do not want that oil with this side being open. I put a bag over that too. I don't want that oil going up through the engine. So if we're going to do that, we need to be a little more careful. So if you're going to do that, try and find a key. You're going to be going in here to your ignition, and since this is the headlight bucket's already loose, you want to go in there, and if you can, you might be able to see the key code on the ignition. I can't quite make it out. I see it, but we're going to get this headlight bucket out of the way. Normally there'd be a bolt here on both sides, and then I took these two little screws out of the headlight itself that holds it to the bucket, because in order to get this whole casing off, you got to pull out the headlight, because there's going to be wires inside basically just holding that in place. So now I can detach wires, I can pull them back through, I can pull them out of the way, and I can get this guy out of the way so I can see behind it. Look, we got some little goodies in there. Make sure this doesn't drop off when you do this. We can always test these things not on the bike, but it's nice to put it all together and use the key and connect up a battery to make it look good. So I'll pull all these apart, see if we can get in there and find the key code. All of those wires disconnected inside here, so they're not crossing and keeping that on. So that can go over here. And I realized while I'm doing that, now I'm gonna have to plug all these in to test the wires. So yeah, that's a thing. Oh well, I don't really need that whole sucker in there now. And this is the plug for the headlights. You just have to plug that in again, and you can check that while you're at it. So now you should be able to get in here and see what our code is. So I believe this is printed right here. You can see it. It's different on some bikes. Actually, down here, yeah. So it should be printed right there. Looks like it's a letter and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numbers. So I'm gonna take that and submit it on eBay to my buddy, and he's gonna let me know if that's a good key code, and then we can get a key printed for this, and he'll send it to me in a few days. So I guess we'll pick up there with this video when I get the key. While we're waiting for the key to come in, it is ordered. That code seems to be the correct code for this Yamaha. Let's just talk about buying a parts bike in the beginning. Things you need to think about when you're buying these is a lot of things could be changed or swapped or added. Like, this bike is definitely missing. We'll talk about missing things too. So there should be a grab bar across the back, but for some reason people don't like those. There should be like a handle that connects to these bars, and I've had 3 now, and all of them are missing that top section. Not sure why, but I guess that's something people do to these bikes. Big sellers are going to be your exhaust, which these mufflers are definitely trashed. The headers don't sell so well because they're usually pretty solid, but they can sell eventually. Carburetors are big sellers. Modifications made to this were the airbox. That's hard to get out if you're fishing it out, but it's not even here. So these carbs will be a piece of cake to get off. All we really need to do, they just have the clamps here. So we'll be loosening those 4 clamps. I'm popping them off, but kind of like to see if this thing would start before I take them off. Your gas tanks, if they're solid inside, if they're not rusty. That's why we're waiting for a key for this thing. we want to try and see what we got there. Wheels and tires. They're heavy to ship, so I don't sell them. I don't usually list them, but at some point I'd like to sell those off. And crash bars often sell well. Sometimes your controls, if you know they work, are good sellers. A lot of times people will buy the calipers for the front brakes. Instrument clusters often sell well. If this one works, which we're not sure of, it does have a hole in the casing, but they often sell pretty well. You can sell a headlight here and there. Engines, sometimes. I have a whole pile of engines here that aren't, well, I don't know. I might start tearing them down because I think we might be able to sell them. Your airbox do sell because this was probably cut out to be removed. We don't have them. Side covers definitely are easy sellers. Ignition and lock sets. So when I sell this tank, I'll probably end up keeping the lock set together. So this one, and then the rear seat helmet lock will stay together. And then wiring harnesses often sell pretty well. So just so you know, not the front fenders sometimes, depends if they're off a bike that needs those. Seems like these stay pretty good, so people don't usually often look for them, but definitely wiring harnesses are a good sell. So usually your master cylinder for the front brakes isn't the best, so they're not always a hot seller. But if you want to sell the whole system as one, that's something you can do too. Other than that, you got a lot of scrap. So unless you have room for a bunch of bikes sitting around and a bunch of scrap, you might just want to pass on doing this. Turn signals aren't big money makers, but they can sell if they're in great shape. Rear fenders do move, but not fast. And rear lights, especially on these, always are a little bit junky. But if yours is better than the guy buying, sometimes they sell good. So rear shocks are okay, but these older guys tend to not really fail. So yeah, that's about it for now. Guess we can drain the oil in the meantime and wait for that key. Oh, and as I said, different parts are added or deleted. And apparently this oil cooler here is an aftermarket add-on, and I'll be taking that off and seeing if we can sell that as itself. And I found an ad for it, so it's pretty cool. I'll put that up in the video. But yeah, that does not belong there. So people make changes and all, and it is what it is. You buy them as they are, and it's just neat to see what they have been in the past. While we're waiting for the key, I'm gonna pull off the front brake calipers. We need a 14 and a 14, and then a 12 for the banjo bolt. I just want to look at these and get a good idea of these calipers, because I really only built Hondas, and the calipers I'm rebuilding for the Yamaha are giving me trouble. So I'm gonna pull these off. Torque, real easy. Banjo bolt with a 12. Right off. Look at that nasty stuff. Clean that up anyway. Need to worry about it. So that's being held on there. So just get that out of the way for a second. Now we'll switch to our 12. And there's that. That one's out. Drop that down there. Other 12. And then if this isn't seized on, we may need a hammer. But it might just slide right off. And it does. If you get all the wires out of the way. We have our brake caliper, our brake line here. And then this is our speedo cable, so it's actually in the way. Maybe I can lift it this way. Yep. Yeah, there we go. There's our pads. There's our caliper. She's stuck out. Of course she is. I'm finding that these slides aren't very good. I want to see what's on the inside of this slide. Maybe these are prone to problems. We'll check it out. Key is in, and I already took this off to try and see if I could find a number on it, and I couldn't find the number. It's like a letter followed by a 5-digit code for Yamaha, but luckily I got the number off of my ignition. So if it fits in this one, I'm just going to try this first since it's here. Then, good sign, it'll fit the bike. Hopefully, gas tank and everything. Here we go. I don't know. So, it'll slide in, probably. Oh, new key. The question is, will it turn? Hey, look at that. We have a key. It works the helmet lock. All right, so let's go check the rest of the bike. Was it just a fluke? Nope. We have a working key, guys. So now we can start tearing it. Well, now I can plug all my lights back in and put a battery on it and see if it works. All right, so back to the bike. Let's see what it looks like in the tank. All right, guy. You gonna work in the tank too? Yes, yes. I don't want to bend it or break it. Yes! All right. How good is our tank looking? Not great. Tank definitely needs cleaning. You gonna focus there? Tank needs a cleaning. Hopefully we're able to do that. It's been sitting a while. Old gas probably. I don't know. Does this thing have gas in it? Yep, there's a little bit of gas in there. All right, so we checked this. At least it works. Yeah, look at that. It's all from just moisture in there. A little bit of corrosion. All right, but it works. That's amazing. All right, so key works there, and because I actually took the code off the lock, there's no question to me that if it works in those two things, it's going to work here. These new keys are so straight. Got to be careful. They're like perfectly fitting. Wait, why isn't it working in my ignition? Come on. There's no way you're not going to work in the ignition unless somebody messed with it. What? There's no chance. I took the code from the ignition. There's no way this doesn't work. Here. Okay, something's messed up there. I'll work on that. There is a chance that somebody screwed up the ignition and now it doesn't work. Maybe they jammed something in there and nothing's working or aligning anymore. That's disappointing. Maybe something's off. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Be very surprised that this doesn't work, but it was obviously the right code because it's working everywhere else. This just isn't working here. So anyway, I'll see if I can mess with it, see if I can get it to go in there. That's really strange. It's not even, doesn't even want to fit. Very strange. But anyway, yeah, well, the key works. Something's wrong with this ignition. So we'll have to hotwire it if we want to, or plug in a different ignition. I have them. That's sad. I don't know why it's not working. Something's wrong. Feels like it's just not working in there. Something's not lining up. And I don't want to mess up my key, because obviously it works everywhere else. All right, guys. Well, we already took off the brake caliper. and we can start dismantling this as far as parts that we don't need on here. But that's sad. I'll have to just plug in a different ignition and try something else, because I think I have one with a key. So I'll just do that, and we'll put a battery on it, see if all the lights work, see if it cranks. We don't want it to fire up because there's potential for water in the engine. Don't want to hydrolock it. But yeah, anyway, key works. Guess I'll catch you on the next one. Get out and ride. Keep following to see if we can make some money on this bike.